This is just a question for Zelensky. I'll go zoom myself out on the map. This is a map inside of the Kursk. Yeah, this is a train, big train area with a train. Right there. And it's a question for Zelensky and for his Rada, for his Duma in Kiev. What I believe about 60% of this, maybe 70% are like-minded Zelensky. And the question here is, why did you deliver me in 2008? You delivered me in 2008 to this location here. And you already know exactly where we are going to. It's called Prehodny Most. It's one big fucking rail area. You traveled to Russia, to Kursk, to give the Russians advice, the military, professional military advice, the evaluation of the training you received from Americans. The military training from the military perspective, you delivered to this location the military people from Ukraine. After you arrived, it was the same procedure, Mr. Zelensky, as it was in other areas of Russia where you arrived, to scan them, evaluate them, and give by the people who are trained from the Western military professional military advice to the Russian side on what they should hide, what they should protect, to preserve, how the attack would take place, and what steps they have to take to preserve whatever. This started in 2008. First you arrived alone, again. You went to see this thing. Then the second thing you see, you had 3 people with you. And this shit went on 6 months, 8 months with them. They were not all military men. One of the guys that was there maybe was even in Lodz, maybe. I met one. He was there. So, what exactly were you doing in Kursk on a train station, and what really turned into a hard beating? I endured tremendous torture in 2009, 2010, after you got out of my mouth that this is the good place to blow up. There would be an awesome place, this rail area here, to demolish, to destroy one, to put one into ash. This so far, nothing has been done about it. But, yes, this was a big deal here, this stuff here. And it was so big that you delivered your military personnel from Ukraine to scout this, to evaluate this, and to give the Russian side precisely the instructions on how to keep this place protected, so they could be safe from what possibly would be Western strikes. This is the stuff you need to explain. You explain this with your Rada people from Kiev. You explain this to Ukrainian people. What the fuck were you doing there? And it was not the only location, this one here. Because I remember you were doing the stuff like this. Since 2000, since 2001, you were doing the stuff like this. You would meet on the Russian side, Russian delegation, military people. They would scout, profile, take instructions and so on, including Putin, his team, profile the area, scout the area, investigate the area and so on. This is what I need to know the answer about this stuff. Why? Not if you were doing, what were you doing there? But because all this was identical shit. I learned this stuff. In 2006, you became a deputy of the stuff I'm talking about independently. Independently, Zelensky, you heard me? You started to take independent before you had other people that were your mentors. But in 2004, you started to do independently. You started to scout in the Russia locations that you were sent from Ukraine. Literally scout them, profile them, and through the Russian, coordinated with the Russian military on how to defend. I know so, sir, because I investigated you. I was watching what the fuck you were doing. You had a trainer before this. I don't know, it doesn't come to me right now who was your trainer. But you had a trainers, and beginning the 2004, you were taking independent trips to Russia for the Russian sake, to make sure that all the training, all the information that you receive from Americans, from the Western side, you would pass on to the Russian side, give them advice, and even deliver them military people from Ukraine so they could assist Russian side on what is of a great importance and what kind of attacks from where they should expect. So you might want to go and explain the world, not only to Ukraine, about this issue here. 2009, 2010, it was very, very bad for me because of my statements you obtained about blowing up this rail here, this stuff here. This was a big stuff. By the way, everybody knew about this, including the Germans. You may want to explain about that stuff. Why? Nothing is being done about it, and the troops, your Ukrainian troops in Kursk, are suffering quite a bad fate these days, don't they? Seems like they're about to walk out without doing any kind of harm to this rail, where I was severely tortured for several years. Angela Merkel was here. They knew it. They knew about this stuff. They knew about this stuff, all about this stuff. This, if you can explain about this stuff here. This stuff here. Explain to me this stuff here. I was tortured here in this location for many, many years. They delivered me here in this location at early morning hours. I thought I would get up on some bridge and demonstrate the fucking train and stuff here. A rail hub here. No. This, Zelensky, this here, with your Rada, explain this, what this was all about, why this? Why a military advice to the Russian side? You were not taking, I can tell you this, you were not taking anything with you to Ukraine. You were not taking anything with you to Ukraine. You had a military personnel you would deliver. You would meet, you would scout the area, see what, this and that, possibly even at invitation of the Russian side. This is what I find it strange, because the first you would come and you would have a look, and you were always meeting the Russian military people. And then once you would then you would even deliver your Ukrainian to give the intel and giving Russians the instructions on what and how and where and this and that. So it wasn't that you spied for the Ukraine or something like that. It was vice versa. This is the shit I need to know. You started with this stuff in 2001. In 2001 you started with this stuff, Zelensky. But in 2004 you became independent in this stuff. Cross-border, this type of stuff, I was very, very much involved in. I'm afraid this was not for the sake of Ukraine, but to take the Ukraine down. But it wasn't because of me. You need to talk about that stuff to Zelensky. Russians are pretty good with this stuff here. It's based on MK Ultra scenario, this stuff here. This is the beginning of the end for the Ukrainian troops supposedly in Kursk area, in Kursk region. And the Perechodny Most is still there. Nothing happened to this area. Nothing ever happened all this time. The best protection the best shield for the Russians. This is who you were, Zelensky. That's you. That's you and your fucking Ukrainian Rada, man. Explain this to people. Explain what you were going, why you went to Russia so many times. What you were up to, what you were doing. This is the stuff you explain to Ukrainian people about this stuff, about your military expertise. Bringing the people, evaluating the stuff and bringing the people there. I do believe you were invited. I don't believe that you went out there to scout on your own. I do believe that you were invited. I do believe that you were meeting on the Russian side at the invitation of the Russian Vladimir Putin, Lavrov, Medvedev, Shoigu. This was your... What were you doing on the Russian side? What were you going to the Russian side repeatedly? Why were you heading to the Russian side to do... and even bring the military people from Ukraine to give the data on how to protect, what to watch out for, and so on. This is the stuff you need to explain.